Welcome back to Captain DLC Gaming. Happy Friday to you all. We are playing Friday Night Magic on the Arena Historic Brawl. Using Kefnet as our commander. See what we can do with Mono Blue. I didn't have a lot of time to build the deck, nor am I a great deck builder, so we grabbed the historic plethora of counter spells, some big flyers, not a lot of tempo. We're relying on our counter spells to really do the work for us. So we'll see how that plays out. We got some decent creature cards, only a 12 count there, which is potentially high for a control deck, but we'll see how this plays out. So, Mystical Dispute, Convolute, a decent early removal, taxes the opponent. Vantress on 2, let's try this out. We get a free mulligan, but I think this is fine. I like having Gargoyle in hand here. And up against aggressive decks is going to be where our weakness lies, and we might get an opportunity to just get our head smashed in here. Looks like our opponent on mono black. I think we go ahead and get the Seize out here. Against the Death Toucher, I'm not worried about the Gargoyle until the opponent plays another creature, so we'll see what happens here. And plenty of lands, that's good for us. Again, just getting pinged 1-1 here, I think I'm fine holding up counter magic. It's never going to be a blue spell, so we're not worried about Mystical Dispute. Lifelink. Yeah, I think we can't withhold our battlefield with a 3-1 creature. We're going to have to start using counter spells here. So likely our opponent's just going to try to power through and rid us of our counter spells. We do need to be a little bit choosy. We are getting closer to getting some bigger creatures out, as long as they don't have Death Touch and a lot of value, then we're fine. We could Kefnet here and start returning the aggression, but I think being the patient deck is where we want to be here. So we're holding up our one and only counterspell, Convolute. That is not something we're going to counter. Ooh. We can start drawing cards here, but we're going to take a pretty big hit next turn, so I think let's see, 5 mana available. Let's play the Gargoyle. It can block. There are 4 cards in hand. It's just a wall for the vampire. Murderous Rider. Do we use our one and only counterspell here? I mean, we can get Kefnet out next turn, which can also kind of hold down the battlefield. Well, let's go for it, though. This might not be the right choice. We might need to be a little bit more patient, but we know we can handle what our opponent has here. Soren can come out next turn, which he can turn on Death Touch, which is something that's going to be relevant in this matchup. Wait, why can't I? Oh, because I played the card, so I lost the block. I should have been paying more attention to that. We'll continue to play our lands here, and do we go for the Gales or Kefnet? Both give us a little bit of... Kefnet gives us card advantage. I think let's go for the Cavalier here. Let's refill our hand. That also turns on the Gargoyle. Oh, not quite. It's return 2. Haven't played that card in a while. Alright. So what do we not need immediately? Icebreaker Kraken I'm keen to have in hand. Chemister's Insight. We already played land for turn. We're not playing the elixir quite yet. And avalanche caller. Yep. Let's draw the elixir first. Up to 7. Can't block with the gargoyle. Opponent's aware of that. We should have been milling them all this time. At the beginning of your end step, if an opponent lost life this turn, put a +1. Okay, so the Gorger, yep. Yeah, be familiar with your cards. Each player mills a card. So we lost our elixir, which I guess is fine. So we need an all-out attack here for the Icebreaker Kraken to begin, I think. Because when ETBs don't untap. So we do have the ability to get the Kraken out here. I'm kind of keen to draw more cards here. That leaves us 3. Yeah, let's hope we draw into a counterspell here. We do have a Storm Tamer, which is interesting. No counterspell. Let's leave up 3. And also maintain our 4 cards in hand, so we do have a blocker. We'll go ahead and get some damage in finally. We'll end the turn there. Barrier of Bone, sure. Surveil 1. Cool art on that card. Blood Upriver comes back to hand. They can't play it. They've got to play a 2-drop here. Opponent struggling with lands. Okay, so they're going to make sure that the Death Touch 1/1 stays alive. This is where having some bounce would be nice. So the Gorger's going to get bigger. 3 cards in graveyard. I don't know that I care about trying to make that thing. So let's go ahead and cash in. Get a Kraken. Let's just trust the deck here on the draw. Another land. Puts us at 8. No Death Touch, so we can jam. Sacrifice the wall, take 5. Hmm. 8 mana available. I think I doubt that they have spells that the Storm Tamer is relevant for, but let's go ahead and get that out. Let's play the Avalanche Caller. The Kraken's better if they swing in. Though we could just go ham in the air with the Kefnet. What is this? Cost 1 blue? At least 1 blue protection up. Let's go for it. Just building out our board state here. If they have a sweeper, then we're in trouble, but with the opponent down to 3, I guess they could be pretty lucky and have something in their toolbox there. They'll get rid of Chemister's Insight. So the Gargoyle can't block. My turn, huh? Let's go ahead and hopefully we don't regret this. We regret it. So the opponent has Death Touch. They have 1 flyer. So I think what we do here is we jam with the flyers. Should see a jump block here. Nope. Yeah, they'll save that for later. They do have the ability to make it bigger. The Kraken's just gonna die to the Vampire of the Moon, so we're gonna keep that in hand. We'll keep the land in hand as well to try to turn on the Gargoyle. We draw into another counter spell, and we just keep smashing in with our big flyers, which we have lethal on board for next turn. They're tapped out, so we'll take that away from them. Let's see, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. This is exactly what we wanted them to do. Oh, we should have activated the collar. And they'll scoop. So we have the win right there with that all-out swing. If it would have been earlier in the game and that wouldn't have been lethal, Icebreaker Kraken would have sealed that up for us. So a few misplays there as I'm getting reminding myself how some of the cards work, but really not a bad performance. Granted, though, taper that with the fact that our opponent was stuck low on lands, which I don't know if was significant for their deck, but it felt like it slowed them down. Outlaw's Merriment, that is a interesting card. So let's run this back, this mono blue Kefnet. I'm calling it Kefnet Counter War. Got plenty of counter spells. And our creatures that help hold down the battlefield are lower drop creatures. So we get a little bit of action there. Definitely have a weakness to being overrun, especially with a lack of bounce cards. So we do have to rely heavily on those counter spells, and that can be troublesome if we run into a very aggressive deck that's faster than the last deck. So Speak of the Devil, we've got Ascended Spirit, or Speak of the Angel, or whatever. Anyhow. Early drop creature as well. Here's Quench, Storm Tamer, and Thought Collapse. Faceless Haven to start with. This is acceptable to me. I don't know that I throw an Ascendant Spirit on as a 1-drop. My concern is that it gets removed before I can pump it up. So I think we're going to be... It does make our mana awkward because we do want to hold up Quench the next turn. Let's see. Mono white. Well, let's take the risk. Now we make tough choices. Okay. Yeah, weirdly enough, let's go and pump it up to 3 while we can. We'll get some damage. Feels aggressive for a mono blue deck. Spare supply. Okay. I'm fine with that. Faceless Haven. We're gonna need to draw some cards. We don't have a good way of doing that. We can just go ham here. If it survives the next turn, then we hold up counter magic and just protect our flying clock. Spinning mill. Okay, so opponent is setting up pay 5 tap target creature, yeah, and we did not draw a land. What's the 4? Plus 1, 2. Oh, and then it starts drawing us cards. I would really like to get Ominous Seas out. I think we put this out as a counterspell. We jam. That gives us some flexibility. But we need to leave the mana open, unfortunately, so we're going to play the patient game. We've got Quench available as well. When an opponent draws a card, that player may pay 2. If that player does, you create a treasure token. Looking for ramp, we're going to say no to that. Okay, drawing cards is good. Opponent does not want to play. Wow, 2 straight wins out of the gate. $20 gems, 100 gold, 25 XP. I will take those prizes. Alright, so if you're curious what I'm playing, because after just 2 wins, I don't pretend that this is a super successful deck. Again, I threw this together in 10 minutes or so. And I just grabbed Kefnet. I've liked this card before. And the fact that as the commander, you can choose to either put it in the command zone for immediate recast in the next turn, or you can dump it in the library and let it just come back in 3 draws. Ascendant Spirit. Storm Tamer because it is also a counter spell, and then Stonecoil Serpent, which we haven't seen so far. Just you know, if we have a bunch of mana to pump into it, and the protection from multicolored may be relevant depending on what deck we're playing against. So again, just a versatile card. Then we have Avalanche Caller because planning on having plenty of land and being able to instant speed without tapping the Caller, start turning your snow lands into 4/4 elemental creatures, I think is powerful. Then we just get into the counter spells. So Stroke, Scatter, Denial, Ominous Seas, just because it's a clock that our opponent has to worry about. Quench, and then Vantress Gargoyle. Not sure if this is going to be an underperformer, but for a 2-drop 5/4, if we can keep 4 cards in our hands, it's basically just a wall that potentially we're not doing a lot of milling by any means, but with enough counter spells towards the late game, we can turn that on. Essence Capture, Convolute. We do have Cosima in the deck, just because I think that's going to be a fun card to play with. Cast Exile, have it come back as a big creature and draw a bunch of cards, seems to be something that we're going to want to be doing. Definitely less interested in the Omen Kill, though that is a really cool thing to be able to do. We won't have the creatures to crew it up. Deny the Divine, and Midnight Clock, just to ramp, and then also if we do end up in a long game, then I felt like that was a good card to have. Mystical Dispute, Tutelage is in the deck, and it draws a card. It goes kind of with our Ominous Seas synergy. we're obviously not trying to win by mill, but in a Brawl deck with one-ofs, if we happen to mill our opponent's, really good card besides their commander, then I just felt like that was good enough to include it in the deck. More counter spells, Winged Words for card draw, Brazen Borrower because you can't play blue without it, and then of course Cancel Didn't Say Please, all your 3 mana, saw it coming, your 3 mana counter spells, hard counters, and then Tempest Djinn because it's a house, also in the air Gadwick, so we can draw cards. Behold the Multiverse, draw cards. Chemist's Insight, draw cards. Sphinx's Foresight, just because of that scry ability, is good, and it's a 4-drop 4/4 flyer. It seems good to me. Cosmos Elixir again against an aggressive deck, hopefully to keep us alive with the 2 life gain per turn. If we're running a little slow, Cavalier of Gales, obvious inclusion. There, another big powerful flyer, and get you some cards. And then Ugin for our top end. I don't know if we'll ever see him, but for the rage scoop, if you will. And then Icebreaker Kraken because again, it just fits well in this deck, and playing all Snowlands. Faceless Haven, don't forget, is in the deck as well. That can be a powerful card. All Snowlands plus the Faceless Haven is what we're playing there. I should probably include the Blue Castle so that we can scry and use our mana that way for another mana sink. I'll add that in. But that's the gist of the deck. Let's actually go ahead and make that change right now. Castle. Yeah, let's put Vantress in there. Everything else is snow, so I feel like that's correct. Alright, so that's the breakdown of the deck. Just counter war, some early drops in creatures to hope to keep us alive, and basically we do battle in the air. So if we go up against another Flyers deck, I think we'll struggle there too, potentially. But we'll see what happens. Let's jump back in there, and I'm interested to play another game. I'm sure that there are some other ways to maximize the deck. It is pretty simple deck strategy. Started just with all the counter spells that I could find in Historic that I had in my collection. Trimmed the ones that were less effective. Pumped in the creatures. And that's basically how I built it. Could use maybe some bounce, some more tempo plays besides, just counter spells might be wise. Again, not knowing what the quote-unquote meta for this format is. Just having fun Friday Night Magic here. So, Essence Scatter, Lofty Denial, Ominous Seas, all of this for early is good. And even without a flyer, we can catch our opponent early in the game with Lofty Denial. That's good. So we will keep this. It's the right mix for what we want to do. Though our early plays are a little bit awkward, since we do have the clash of holding up the early counter spells and then our cheap creatures. So there's maybe an argument that our curve could be improved, and we could be playing better things. But I think also that balances out as we get into turn 3, 4, 5, where we can hold up counter magic and play our smaller drops. Here is that conundrum though. I think we go for Ominous Seas and say that our opponent's not going to play anything significant turn 3. Let's find out. Midnight Clock, alright. I like it. Not the worst thing our opponent could have played on turn 3, though it's a thing. So here we hold up counter magic and say go. And the clock is ticking. We have no way to remove it, so it's going to go off if the game goes long. Jace. Okay. Card advantage. Tapped out, so I think we use the denial here. Alright, so we have Stonecoil Serpent, which is nice. At some point we can choose to use that. We have room for a 2-drop and mana up. So I think we make this cheaper can foretell that. And we pass the turn. Try to keep controlling the game a bit before we get hasty with getting Kefnet out. Stormcaller. When ETBs, copy the next instant or sorcery spell with mana cost 2 or less you cast this turn. So I would expect it to be an opt or some other form of card draw. So I think we're going to scatter that. And our opponent has seen enough. Interesting. Alright. Nobody wants to play with me. Playing against blue with open mana if you're going to play your deck critical cards. And maybe this is a more punishing deck in this format just because you only have one of, so, you know, if that gets countered, it feels like a much worse day. Alright, one more game. Let's get one more game in there. I'd like to see if this deck can go the distance against somebody who's willing to stick around. Or maybe we just get run over by aggro. Though consistent aggro decks might be a little bit more difficult to put together. Haven't done much deck building in historic Brawl. Ooh, this one looks interesting. I don't know what that art is of. Consistently drawing even hands. 3 mana to start. Ascendant Spirit. And counter magic. Slow counter magic. We're not countering anything until turn 3. Opponent goes first. Tiny Bones Trinket Thief. What is this? I don't even know what this card is. Beginning of each instep. If opponent discarded a card this turn, you draw a card and you lose 1 life. Oh, and if you have no cards in hand, you can... Wow, okay. So this is going to be a hand hate deck. We're going to need to prioritize counter spells, and we would have been better off with the previous hand. Interesting. The bounce is okay, Convolute is okay, Kozima, don't know that we'll have a lot of time for that. Kraken is not what we want in our hand in this matchup. Let's try again. Icebreaker Kraken again? Okay, we're gonna keep this and we're put the Kraken away. I don't recognize this pet either. Opponent's got some fancy art stuff going on. I already have to discard a card. We're gonna need Gadwick. Let's put away Sabotage. What is this thing? Never seen that pet before. Alright, I'd like to play a land, please. Tiny Bones comes out. Wow. Yeah, so we'll have to discard a card. Lofty Denial's no good here, so we have to capture it. Let's try to buy ourselves a little bit of time. We can't keep up 1-for-1 counter spells forever. So running our opponent out of resources is good. Enters the battlefield, reveals the number of cards in their hand equal to the number of creatures in your party. So they're gonna, yep. They're not tapped out, so we have to see it coming. I also don't want them in my hand. might follow up with the second spell here. Yep, and they do. I think we get rid of the Lofty Denial. I don't think they're going to tap out. Kind of a crazy combo deck going on here. So Gadwick only draws us one card. Tapping them down doesn't do anything for us. But if they force us to discard, then we're losing something anyways. Yeah, this is a bad matchup for us. I'm not sure. Such a cheap commander. Countering the commander doesn't seem like the right way to deal with this either. Oh, and they have the lantern? Nice. Try to beat him in the air here? I'll play Gadwick. To draw cards. I mean, I really want the Jin. Do we try to race him? We run the risk of having an empty hand, and if so, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They're one. Yeah, they're one away from that. That doesn't feel right. I think we have to go for Gadwick here. Okay, Brazen Borrower's not going to be helpful. I mean, I suppose we can bounce the lantern. We could start keeping lands in hand. We have good attacks here. Oh, that doesn't really matter. So we tap down, sorry, I'm thinking not out loud very well. Tap down the banner just in case they have a 2-drop that can punish us and make us discard again. So we can get in 6, 7, 8 here. We could get in 9 if we played the land, but I'm not too worried about that. We can flash in Borrower next turn. Quench hopefully can pay off for us, and I think we hold the land in case we need it. We might be able to get in with Gadwick here. I bet we just see a chump block, but we're going to try. We'll get a double block. Nope, a chump block. There we go. Opponent down to 6 here. And we'll end the turn. Yup, that's a problem. That's going to sweep our board. Okay. I can't quench it, so I'm not going to waste it. If I want it in the command zone, that's going to make it 1, 2, 4, 6 mana to drop it. Or we draw it in 3 turns. I think we might need to make sure that we have a powerful creature to help us finish. We'll flash in the borrower here. We get a convolute, which is good. We get in for 3. And then we protect against lethal, hopefully. Yep. We're going to rely on the borrower here to finish this out. And opponent scoops. Ah, we did it. We got there. Definitely key to draw into another counterspell. Our opponent having 6, 7 mana available doesn't mean that they're tapping out. But if they spend any more than 3, then Convolute is a good card. So likely could have kept the Brazen Borrower alive. Alright, so that'll do for today. 4 wins, unstoppable, mono blue, Kefnet Counter War. Thank you for joining me today. Hope you enjoyed the gameplay. Good luck in your Friday night Magic event, whether that's this one on Arena, or if you're lucky enough to be playing at a shop this Friday to support your local FNM. We will see you next time in the Arena. Catch ya on the flip side.